Research Development Manager at Retina UK, and I'm here today talking to Georgina Hall, who's a consultant genetic counsellor. Georgina works in the Genetic Eye Clinic at St Mary's Hospital and Manchester Royal Eye Hospital. Georgina, thanks for talking to me today. So we know that inherited retinal diseases can be caused by faults in any one of a couple of hundred genes. Why might somebody decide that they want to find out exactly which gene is causing their sight loss?
So, as you say, Kate, there are many different genes that can cause retinal dystrophy, and people may go to their eye doctors and have their eyes examined and be given a sort of descriptive diagnosis like a rod cone dystrophy or retinitis pigmentosa. These are really sort of umbrella diagnoses. And so for some people, it feels important to get a precise diagnosis to confirm exactly what type of retinal dystrophy they have. And for some people who've perhaps been back and forth to doctors many times, having that kind of definite answer of what they have can be helpful to them in just getting a bit of closure and understanding what it is. Other people talk to me about the importance of understanding why it's happened. So living with a condition, sometimes it can be just important to know why this has happened to me, particularly if there's been no one else in the family. And so finding the gene, finding the genetic diagnosis might help us to understand why it's come about in that person, if it's a new gene change that started in them, or if it's something that's been inherited. Sometimes understanding what the cause is and why that's happened is important. Other people come up to see us perhaps if they're thinking about other people in their family, their risks to brothers and sisters, or if they're planning to start a family and they come and ask, is there a chance my child could have this condition? A genetic test may help us, if we do find an answer, understand how that gene is inherited, whether there's a chance of it passing from one person to the next, or whether there are other people in the family who could develop the condition in the future. And I guess finally, importantly, understanding about potential treatments is very, very important for people with retinal dystrophy. And a lot of the research at the moment is looking at gene-based treatments. And it can be a bit of a minefield out there trying to work out what's relevant, what they should be kind of understanding. And so finding the gene may help you to look out for the research that's specifically relevant to your type of retinal dystrophy, and that can feel empowering to know what to go and look for. I guess it's important to say at this stage that there aren't treatments for the vast majority of genes causing retinal dystrophy, so it's important for people coming into genetic testing to understand that it probably isn't going to change the way the eye doctors will be able to treat or manage their condition. But it does mean that if research comes along, or if there are new treatments, that then hopefully people will be able to look out for those and know what's relevant for them in the future.
So if somebody comes in and gets a genetic test result, what might the impact be for their wider family?
So once we have confirmed which gene is causing their condition, we can talk about how that gene is inherited. And through taking a family history and talking about the inheritance pattern of the gene, we can identify who else in the family could carry that gene, and who else could be at risk of passing that down to their children. Once we've found the change in the gene, and we always have to start with the person who's got the retinal dystrophy to find the gene that's causing their condition, we can then offer genetic testing to the wider family. So if other people in the family wanted to know if they've inherited that particular gene change that's in their family, we can offer them a genetic test to find that out. So it does help people know who else in the family could carry the gene, and it does give other family members the option to come and find out a bit more about it if they're concerned or they want to know.
So what does the genetic test result look like, Georgina? What does it say?
So I guess the first thing to be clear is the genetic test result may or may not find the gene that's causing the condition. So for some people who come forward for testing, we may get a result that says they haven't found any changes in any genes. That's not to say there isn't a gene causing their condition. It just means at this stage, the type of test we're doing hasn't found the answer. And there's a few reasons for that, really. Firstly, we haven't discovered all of the genes yet, but also our technology is only good at picking up certain types of gene changes, and as our technology improves, we'll find other types of gene changes that might cause the condition. So it's important for people to know that even though our genetic testing is very good, there are still quite a few people where we can't find the gene at this stage. What we're aiming to do with the test is to find a change in a gene that we know is definitely impacting the way the gene works. And if we find that type of gene change, we can be confident that that's the cause of the condition. But for some people, we might find a change in a gene that we haven't got so much evidence around. So I guess all of our DNA is different.
Yeah.
When we read the DNA code from one person to the other, there are differences in all of us.
Yeah.
What we're looking for is a difference that we recognise, that we've got evidence to say this difference does impact how the gene works. But if we find a difference that we haven't really seen before, we're not aware that it's in the general population, the background population, but we've also not seen it particularly in relation to retinal dystrophy. It sits a bit in the middle, not quite sure what it means, and it's a bit of a grey area really.
Mm-hmm.
And means there's some uncertainty. So it means that we found something, but we don't know if it's causing the condition. Okay, so it's not something to kind of worry about. It just means that we're not quite sure what the answer is yet. And I guess with research going on all of the time, we're doing so many more testing, we'll have better evidence in the future. And a lot of people kind of say to me, well, even if we're not sure yet,
Mm-hmm.
At least I know that we're looking at things and we've got a possibility, and I can come back and ask more questions, and maybe this will be the answer in the future. So people do find it helpful to at least know that maybe there's a gene that we can think about in the future.
And that complexity means that families presumably do need quite a lot of support through the process, and that's where genetic counsellors come in. Can you tell us a little bit more about how genetic counsellors can support families and how it's different from, say, psychological counselling that people might be more familiar with?
So we do have the word counsellor in our title because we do have counselling training, but we use our counselling and communication skills really, as you say, helping people understand a bit more about genetics, about genetic testing, and to think through the implications of having a test. Mm-hmm. So some people may come and talk to us before they have a test, or they may want to come and talk to us afterwards. And we're here to help provide information about the gene, to explain about the inheritance of the gene and talk about the family. And I guess sometimes people want help with sort of making decisions. So that might be decisions about whether to have a test, how to tell family members. If they're planning a family, they may want to be able to talk through family planning questions and what their options might be. So we're here to provide information, to support people with that information and help them make decisions.
Thank you very much, Georgina.